Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and we're brokers for Miles Franklin Precious Metals. Thanks everybody for being here. If you're a subscriber, you'll be able to participate in the live chat. If you're not a subscriber, it's really easy to become one. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you know you'll be notified when new videos come out and that will allow you to jump in the chat and ask your any questions that you might have. Um, uh, Purpose of what we're doing tonight is kind of to look in and just give you a live market update on what we're seeing as brokers for Miles Franklin that you might not be seeing in might not get an immediate picture of. So feel free to ask any questions in the chat if you have any questions about um, what is the market looking like right now on that side of the table. Uh Anything like IRA logistics questions, buyback logistics, privacy protections, that kind of thing, what's reportable and so forth. We'll cover a lot of those things, but if you have a specific question in there, feel free to drop it in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer all of those. Darren, thank you very much. Yes, we did have a great Christmas. So thanks for the Christmas wishes, and same to anyone who's still celebrating day 4 of Christmas here. Congratulations, or anyone who's celebrating the fourth night, third day of Hanukkah or what have you. Um, yeah, thanks for being here. And let's see. Let's start with one thing that is worth noting. If you so I think one thing that unless you're watching really carefully, not just the spot price, but going to retail websites all the time and checking it out, I think part of the picture that a lot of people miss, that brokers see, is the question of premiums, and in a large way that really indicates if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. The spot price moves around all the time. Obviously, if you do watch the spot price, you see that it was a couple months ago, it was up around $35 an ounce for silver, and around 2,800 for gold. It's backed off a little bit on both of those, around $30 right now for silver, 29.60 or something like that, and then on gold we're in the mid 2600s right now, and so. Um, but that's one part of the picture. The other part of the kind of question of what the market is doing right now has to do with physical demand. And whereas the spot price a lot of times has to do with what large institutional investors are doing on the COMEX and on the London exchange and on the Singapore exchange and the futures contracts. That's not what we see when it comes to premiums. Premiums really are a pretty direct uh, I guess relationship to physical demand for actual physical product, for silver eagles or for gold maples, or what you're paying for 10th ounce platinum, Britannia. So that's where um, it's been interesting recently. So we've seen this pullback both in the spot price, but also on premiums. Right now, for instance, we're seeing, we're selling Eagles at $4.85 over spot for silver, 135 on gold. Um, and so it's as low as premiums have been in the last several years. But we've also had that pullback on spot price. Yes, spot is up from where it was say a year and a half ago when we were in the 24, 25, 26 area. But but back then you were paying 15.50 on eagles. You couldn't get an eagle for under $40. Right now silver eagles are they're coming out to about 34 and change, to get an American eagle. And so it's a pretty decent time when you're looking at the premium side of things. um to you can either you can it's a good time to purchase eagles. It's also just a good time to, if you have a lot of, say, generic things, lots of ounces in silver bars or other coins, you can still the premiums are pretty close between eagles and other coins. And so, what a lot of people are doing are swapping generics and bars and that kind of thing into eagles. And you go down some ounces, but if you are someone who likes eagles and would prefer to have eagles, it is a way for you to do a swap right now at a good point. Um, the um, the other thing I'd mention is one thing that we're seeing that is even more rare, I would say, than eagle premiums coming down to, I mean, those fluctuate all the time, and anytime that it's a seller's market, anytime we see intense demand, the premium price on eagles goes way up, and it goes way up first because everybody wants those. Um, so right now, it's very much a buyer's market when it comes to purchasing. I guess that's kind of the definition of a buyer's market. It's very much a buyer's market right now, because we're not seeing high demand for physical product the way we have been the last couple of years, and so we have it in stock, and the premiums are not are very low compared to where they have been the last few years, and the spot price has backed off on silver since about 2 months ago. It's the spot price has backed off. What is that? It was about 15% or so, almost 20%. And on gold, it's backed off, 10%. Um, so on both of those, it's very much a buyer's market at this point. The other thing that I think is really worth mentioning when it comes to do that. Thank you, David. There I just didn't working on not saying the and there it was right there. So when it comes to the buyer's market, we're looking at in a particular way that is even more pronounced than eagles and that kind of thing. Is numismatics. So frequently, numismatics are priced way above other coins because they're 100-year-old coins, pre-33 gold, and a lot of people would like to have them. And they're both a piece of American history. Um, they're also a lot of people look at them as having a further collectible value. And when you're looking at semi-numismatic and numismatic coins, there's just a little bit of extra cachet to them. And so one thing that's very interesting right now is the premiums for numismatics are frequently very out of step with premiums for just regular bullion coins. Right now, they're very close. I know our president and CEO Andy Schechtman has frequently mentioned the idea that, look, if you can get a $20 gold Liberty MS62 Liberty at around the same price as an Eagle, that's a good time to get the MS62 Liberty, because that's a rare occurrence when that happens. And so he's talked about using that as kind of a gauge for where the premiums are at on numismatics. Right now, MS62 Liberties are actually priced lower than American Eagles by about 20 bucks. And MS63s are not far above American Eagles, Gold Eagles, and MS64s are even not that far away. So it's a really interesting time if you're someone who's watched premiums or watches kind of the way that the market moves. That is certainly a time where numismatic premiums are very low. And so I'm not someone who there are a lot of people out there, well intentioned or otherwise, who will go, you have to have numismatics. You got to have all numismatics. It's got to be just numismatics. Like you can only do that because confiscation and all this kind of stuff. Um, I think there's value to having numismatics, and I don't think it's an absolute necessity. I don't put much stock in the idea of oh, you'd be able to avoid confiscation with that kind of thing, even, and that's, I guess, another topic. And if people want me to get into that, I'm happy to get into it. But I think numismatics are great to have, and to have an antique coin and one that has such an important part in American history, and to get one in such a good condition and graded well, it's a great time to purchase those when you have the opportunity. And again, some people will get numismatics when the premiums are similar to the Eagle premiums, and then swap them out for more ounces when the premiums go way out of step. We saw not very long ago, probably 6 or 8 months ago here, we saw that premiums were you were paying uh, anything from 20% more than an Eagle. It was a 25% premium on numismatics, and now the premium is a few percentage points. And so, to if you're someone who watches the market and wants to take advantage of that kind of thing, certainly we're seeing depressed premiums on most everything right now, but in a very kind of pronounced way we're seeing that in numismatics. So food for thought if you go, I want numismatics, but I haven't found the right time to do it because they're so expensive all the time. Right now they're not. In fact, and I know it's in the description here, we're actually running a special on I want to say it's XF $20 liberties. And so XF is, you've got the numeric grades 61, which you sometimes see used, 62 and up, and then right below 61-ish is BU, AU, and then XF. We have XF ones for $75 over melt. They're not a full ounce of gold. It's 0.9675 troy ounces, but it's only $75 over 0.9675 of spot price. So it's a pretty screaming deal when it comes to that. And if you want MS62s, MS63s, MS64s, like I said, those are actually pretty close in step with what you pay for an Eagle at this point. MS62s being even a little bit less than what you pay for an Eagle at this point. So again, I'm not saying everybody go out there and trade your Eagles in for $20 liberties. But if you're someone who has thought about doing that kind of a thing, this is a time when they're very close in premium. Or if you're just looking to get in when there are low premiums on numismatics, there are low premiums on numismatics right now. So that's where we're at. Let me just jump in the chat here and see if there are any questions I should be answering here. So Mark Florida says, what is your take on spot silver premiums over the next 3 months? Apparently folks are selling junk silver back to precious metals dealers, pushing premiums down. Do I see this continuing? So I'm always really hesitant to speak into what is going to happen in the future. I can tell you that we are seeing more sellers right now than we're used to seeing. Usually, especially for the last 4 years or so, um, we've seen probably 95 to 98% of the transactions that we do are purchases. Now, I would say, the last several months, we've seen it be much closer to, I would say, 70% purchases and 30% sales or swaps. And so there's this big shift towards a lot of people selling right now. Again, from like a getting the most bang for your buck kind of a thing. It's a buyer's market, so it's not. I wouldn't say, even though we're having many more people selling than we usually see, it's really they're not making the most that they could possibly make because um, there's not as much of a demand on the buying side, and so they're not getting as high of a premium as they could be getting on the selling side if they were able to or wanted to hold out for another time when it shifts into a seller's market again. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm hesitant to predict into the future, because I think it's so important to look at the market where it is right now and where it has been, and make decisions based off of that, because we don't know what will happen tomorrow. All we know is what is happening right now and what has happened in the past. And so, like, I guess that's why I point out, like, silver is down about 20% from or 18% from where it was 2 months ago, and premiums are lower than they were 2 months ago. So the overall cost of a coin is significantly less than it was 2 months ago, and I think that's worth noting. But I can't tell you, well, it's going to go lower still, or once Trump's in office, it's going to the premium spot price will go to the moon, and so then it'll be a great time to sell. I can't tell you that. No one can. Some people think they can, but no one can. You can't know the future. And so I think we do certainly see a lot of people selling right now, and that is one of the reasons that premiums have come down. Whether that continues into the future, I don't know. Um, I would hope and expect that people who are really interested in uh, using precious metals to uh, leverage towards their financial stability would look at a buyer's market and go, okay, this is the time to buy, and when is a good time to sell or to swap. Because I'm very much into the idea of I don't think I've the only times I've ever sold precious metals is to swap into different metals. Where I took a few months ago took a bunch of bars that I had, sold them, and traded them for eagles. I've never just sold for cash. And so, but that you can really leverage your assets by playing the ratios of gold and silver, um, the ratios of silver premiums, the ratios of platinum to silver, platinum to gold, palladium, for instance. That's another thing that's worth noting is platinum now has been kind of in a depressed place for several years now, where traditionally it has traded anywhere from 50% more than gold to three times the cost of gold, and it's not even half the cost of gold right now. Palladium at its high was about three times more expensive just on the spot price than it is right now. So both of those have pretty strong value propositions as far as uh, being top buyer uh, top buyer choices in a buyer's market. Where if you are looking for a pretty good value proposition as a buyer, those are both certainly platinum, palladium. I mean, again, gold and silver too, obviously, right now. But the platinum and palladium are way down in cost from where they usually are, and where they have been even in very recent history. So, worth noting those things. Um, let's see. John Mack, you're asking how does the COMEX look there on silver? I'm guessing maybe you're asking how much have they still got with all these large buyers, or excuse me, account holders pulling, taking standing for delivery on silver. I don't know what the numbers are on it right now offhand. I know over the last couple of years, large, huge, hundreds of millions of or well over 100 million ounces have been pulled off of the COMEX, and I think even just in the last few months here, if I remember, I think Andy talked about it on our last market update, which was last Saturday. Or no, not Saturday, Wednesday maybe, and he talked about tens of millions of ounces being pulled just in the last couple of months. So I don't know the numbers offhand, but still lots of ounces are being pulled off of the COMEX. So yeah. Um, Please do get into your thoughts more into your thoughts around confiscation. So the a couple of things. So people ask us about confiscation a lot, and and particularly the idea that pre 33 gold would be exempt to confiscation. The So back in the 1930s, we were on the gold standard, where the and that's how you see on on a $20 Liberty, it's because 0.9675 troy ounces of gold was worth 20 US dollars. It was directly tied to the value of gold. Um, Obviously, you can see now, American Eagles have a $50 face value, but they're worth $2,800. So there's no longer a connection between the price of gold and the US dollar. Not a direct connection. The the There's an oblique connection through the petrodollar that we have, but the back then we were on on the gold standard, and so every dollar was essentially denominated in gold. And during the Great Depression, there was this perceived need to inflate the currency, and so uh, Roosevelt essentially went into what most people call confiscation, but from a very technical standpoint was nationalization of gold, where they said, okay, now all gold is technically the property of the government, and please do hand it in at your earliest convenience. And but no one was going door to door, taking it by force or that kind of thing. It was just you are required by law to hand in your gold. And then they revalued the US dollar relative to gold, but cutting it about in half. And so when 100% of the US economy had a direct connection to gold, it made a lot of sense for the government to nationalize it when they wanted to adjust the relationship that it had, that their economy had to gold. That isn't the case anymore. We're not on the gold standard. We're not on the silver standard. We don't have silver certificates since the 1970s. And so the idea that the government would seize value, that when it comes to physical gold and silver, you're talking about less than 1% of all people in the United States have physical silver in their holdings. And so there are lots of easier ways to confiscate value if you are looking for tangible assets to hold as the government, and you need just stuff to kind of bolster your economy. Going and finding the people who have physical gold and silver and taking it from them is, it strikes myself, my dad, my brother, most, I would say, that the folks at Miles Franklin, too. I can't speak for them, but I'll just say myself, my dad, my brother, that's stretches our credibility as far as that being the option that they go to. It's not impossible. That it certainly could happen, but it seems like there would be other things that would be much easier to seize, much easier to nationalize, much easier to rewrite the ownership of, and that kind of thing, than physical gold and silver. So um, that's kind of the overall perspective on that. And when people talk about, oh well, if it did happen, your pre-33 gold would be safe. Look, if they're rewriting if they're doing a constitutional amendment to require people to turn in their gold and silver, I mean, they can rewrite that pre-33 clause as well. And even when it was put in place, I'm not totally familiar with all the intricacies of it, but my understanding is that there were a lot of kind of contingencies in regards to, well, you have to be able to prove that you're a collector of them, and you can have this many collectible ones. It wouldn't protect um, a horde of pre-33 gold coins or anything like that. And again, if we got to the place where the government was saying turn in all of your gold, they could very easily just say, oh, and by the way, that pre-33 clause doesn't apply anymore. So uh, one, I don't think that pre-33 protects you from it, confiscation, beyond just feeling nice about it. Um, two, I think, again, myself, my dad, my brother, look at confiscation as a pretty unlikely event because there's not any direct correlation between gold and the US dollar anymore. Again, there's an oblique connection through how the way that the petrodollar is supposed to be used and that kind of thing. But as I'm sure, if you're a follower of the show and have listened to anything Andy said, Andy Schechtman has said in the last couple of years here, you know that even the stability of the petrodollar is rapidly crumbling as well. So those are, I hope that's helpful. Those are some more thoughts on that. Um, let's see. Spice of Supremes. Just gonna jump into uh Michael. No, I'm Kaiser Johnson. I'm Elijah's brother. So nope, he's not me. I'm not him. We're two different people who sound somewhat similar and look somewhat similar, being brothers. Let's see. And where are we at here? Looking for if there are other questions here. Platinum is better than gold, can't be faked like gold, and way less above ground. Yeah, platinum is I believe it's something like 30 times more rare than gold, and 80 some percent of platinum that is mined comes out of South Africa, which is not known for being the most politically stable area, and so there's certainly a lot more of a sense of overall instability in the platinum market, and potential for um, a big upside to it with how much more rare it is than gold, um, and the way that is and where it's at right now relative to gold. So, um, did anyone ask about 90% coins all being melted for 90 or for 1,000 ounce bars? We've heard some of that talk happening, that anybody who gets junk silver is just melting it down and refining the silver out and making 1,000 ounce bars. Um, we don't. When we get junk silver, we hold on to it and we sell it. The we can usually junk silver will command a better premium than 1,000 ounce bar, because you've got dimes are 1/12 or so, no, less than, even less than point. Yeah, about a twelfth of an ounce of silver, and so generally what you see in precious metals is the smaller, the more fractional it is, the more liquid it is based on being of smaller weight, the higher the premium would generally be on it, because there's a more desirability to it. So we see that when it comes to junk silver. So at least to us, it doesn't make a lot of sense to melt it down into 1,000 ounce bars. I don't know if uh, for instance, like CNT, if they're getting, when they get stuff, and the CNT is a private mint out of Massachusetts that provides some massive amount of the bullion to the U.S. mints to mint eagles and that kind of thing. And so I don't know if they're if they get sold junk silver, if they're melting it into 1,000 ounce bars and then giving that, or into blanks, and giving that to the U.S. Mint. But that's not something the bullion exchanges that we work with do, and they do have refining capabilities and that kind of thing. And most of the bullion exchanges that we work with, and they're holding on to junk silver because again, there's a high desirability from a consumer standpoint to have fractional silver. So um, let's see. Oh, you're right. Platinum and palladium. Tinfoil hat plumber says platinum and palladium are not money and are not mentioned in the Constitution. That's right. They're not. They're not monetary metals like gold and silver. They're not mentioned in the Constitution. They're if you are interested in trading in precious metals, and they can be appealing from that perspective. So that's whether you want to hold those long term, totally up to you. But I think that, I mean, the thing that I was pointing out there was just that they are, if you're looking at precious metals as a point of investment, and particularly if you're looking at precious metals as a point of speculation, it's worth noting that both platinum and palladium are far down from their normal relationship with gold and silver, and they are far down from just where they've been in the last palladium more, but where they've been in the last few years. Um, let's see. Let's see. Gold and silver, money, platinum. Yeah. And many of them was crazy. Uh, so yep, you're right. There are other things that also have value that are also not money. Um, true. No argument here. So a couple of other things, and I know we've been here for a half hour now, so happy to wrap things up here shortly. But when we're talking about sales and the way that we've been seeing a lot more sales and swaps recently, and people trading, again, gold bullion into numismatics, trading silver for generic silver for eagles, that kind of thing. We get a lot of questions about reportability and privacy on a sale and also on purchases. So a couple of things worth noting. A lot of times the $10,000 transaction number gets tossed around. When it comes to purchasing precious metals, if you are purchasing precious metals, we're not required to report the purchase unless it is a cash or cash equivalent purchase of $10,000 or more. We don't accept cash or cash equivalent transactions of $10,000 or more. So, no purchase that you do with Miles Franklin will be one that is reportable. When it comes to sales, it's actually a totally different rule that deals with reportability. And if you want to email us at I'll drop it in the chat, libertyandfinance@protonmail.com, libertyandfinance@protonmail.com. You can ask for our free golden guide, where it has a list of what metals are reportable and in what amounts. So, with selling precious metals, if you're selling us precious metals, or you're doing a swap where you sell one and purchase another, and when you do that, just so you know, you get a better deal on the buyback, because we know that you're going to be also swapping it in for a sale portion of it. So when you do that, we're talking the things that are reportable. It has nothing to do with the $10,000 at that point. It has to do with the sale of, if you sell 1 kilo or more of gold bars, 1,000 ounces or more of silver bars, 25 ounces of platinum bars, 100 ounces of palladium bars, 25 gold Krugerrand, 25 or more gold maples, 25 or more Mexican onzas, or $1,000 face value or more of junk silver. Those are reportable transactions. The way that and if you want, email us at libertyandfinance@protonmail.com, and just you can put free guide in the subject, or reportable metals in the guide, and we'll send you a copy of the free golden guide. And it's got a list of what is reportable, on a sale. And one thing too that has changed fairly recently is the idea of, it used to be that you could do a like kind exchange without incurring reportability, where if you were selling gold and immediately buying gold with it, or selling silver and buying silver, there wasn't a reportability requirement. That's no longer the case. Now, if you hit those thresholds, regardless of whether it's a sale and a purchase or just a sale, it doesn't matter. Those are reportable transactions. So those are worth noting. Let's see. Seeing if there's any other. China more likely to buy 1,000 bars. Silver Bushman. Yes, I think you're right that India, Russia, and China are more likely to buy large bars of bullion than big bags of junk silver. Yeah, I guess what we're seeing domestically is that our bullion exchanges, they're not taking silver and melting it down, or they're not taking junk silver and melting it down to make 1,000-ounce bars. But again, at a national, international level, I'm sure it happens. So yeah. Let's see. And yeah, tinfoil hat plumber again. Yes, totally. Those are, if you are looking to use precious metals for speculative purposes, that's platinum and palladium are probably a good speed for you right now. If you're not looking to use metals for speculative purposes, they may not be a good fit. So, and Idaho farmers accept pre-65 coins as currency at silver prices. John, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, I've done transactions where I live in not just pre-65, but other silver, silver bullion coins and so forth. So there's already a growing familiarity with silver, and at a broader level, and certainly a lot of people who are constitutionally minded, I guess I'd say, look at silver and are eager to transact business and trade in that. So worth noting. And let's see, a couple other things that are probably worth talking about. Robert says, when buying silver, what should you buy the most? Robert, do you mean should you buy American Eagles? Should you buy junk silver? Should you buy bars of silver? Um, if that's what you mean, I guess I would say that now I'm not a financial advisor, can't give financial advice, but the overall picture I would say is buy the one that makes sense at the time. Right now, junk silver and American Eagles are both at very close premiums to generic bars and other sovereign coins. And so I would look at those as being preferable since we're in the United States, purchasing Eagles and junk silver, especially because junk silver is also so liquid because, again, you've got dimes and quarters that are, fractional pieces of silver. And most people are familiar with them in this country, that those are certainly worth having. And right now is a very good time to get them because the premiums are not far out of step with anything else that you have. Junk silver is right around what you're paying for, like identical to what you're paying for generics. Sometimes maybe even a little bit lower than most generics. And silver eagles are, a dollar or two, which is, we're talking 8% more than in premium than what you're seeing from other sovereign coins, maples, philharmonics, that kind of thing. So I would say when they're close like that, it's really worth doing because there are certainly times when they're not when they're very out of step with other premiums. Now, again, a year and a half ago, we were buying silver eagles from people at $12.50 over spot. We were paying $37, $38 an ounce to buy eagles from people so that we could sell them at 40, 41, $42 out the door because that's where the market was at that point. Junk silver, we were paying $9 or $10 over spot for it because we were selling it at 11 or $12 over spot. So right now, where junk silver is hovering around $2 over spot for junk silver, I mean, that's not even that far off from 1,000-ounce bars, where you pay $1.59 over spot for it for per ounce for 1,000-ounce bars. You're paying around $2 over spot for junk silver. It's so close right now that when I'm buying Eagles junk silver, and that's it. I'm not bothering with bars or philharmonics or maples or anything like that right now. Um, Other times when the premiums are out of step, absolutely, I'll buy generic, I'll buy yeah, maples, I'll buy philharmonics. Again, when the price or the difference in premium dictates that it makes more sense to purchase something else, that's what I'll do. And again, like I said, I recently traded a lot of generics that I had for Eagles because the premiums came down on Eagles, and they were about the same on the generics that I had. So it was a good time to swap. So let's see. Um, yes. So yeah, John, you're absolutely right. We saw these huge premium increases when Silicon Valley Bank went under, and then we were losing multiple banks a day for a month and a half, March and April of 2023, and so we saw this huge increase in premiums. The yeah, that's what was one of the big driving factors behind there. And that's cooled off a little bit, and so we've seen this overall, and we mentioned some of the us seeing more sellers come into the marketplace, and that kind of thing that has brought premiums down again to a much more reasonable place in terms of their comparability between U.S. mint versus other mints, and just overall price as a function of the overall price of the coin. So let's see. What got time maybe for maybe one more question here? uh, Chap says, Kaiser, what do your father, and brother stack? What are each of your favorites? Again, really, it's funny. I asked them a few months ago. This is the same kind of thing of like, what are you buying right now? and most of them basically answered the same thing of what makes sense right now. So when I asked them, I think Eagles were like $8 over spot, so they were getting junk silver because that was at a around $3 I think over spot at the time, and kind of hedging their positions with generics, so with the eye of trading them in for Eagles, uh, and I was doing the same thing. So right now, I know we're buying American, and that's what we're doing because that's where the premiums are. Even on gold, where the American Eagle is 135 over spot, and the like a Kruger Rand is 69 over spot. I want to say 69.75, somewhere in there. If you look just at the premiums, you go, well, that's almost twice the premium. But in the overall cost of the coin, when the spot of gold is at around 2,600, it's a couple of percentage points difference in the overall cost of the coin. And so for me, I look at that and I go, well, I'm still gonna buy American at this point here. Um, so I guess I'd say, I mean, overall, that's what I'm if I have the opportunity to lean American, that's what I'm gonna get. What do I think is the nicest coin? Canadian maple, I guess. What's the most fun? Kangaroo. What else do I like if I can't get an eagle, or I don't wanna get an eagle? Krugerrand. Those are where I'm at on those, but, yeah. So, let's see. All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody for being here. We'll do another one of these again soon for more questions and to jump into some other things we didn't have time for, like we can always talk storage, IRA logistics, stuff like that, and so forth. But we did cover most of the things I was hoping to touch on today. Yes, Call of the Wild are beautiful. The Royal Canadian Mint has a great series, and every single one of them out of there is beautiful. And the U.S. has tried with the America the Beautiful series, but when it comes to beautiful coins that have a face value in their currency, the Canadian Call of the Wild is certainly a beautiful series of coins. So thanks so much for being here, and John. I love maples. I think right now they're a half a percent off of an eagle, so I'd rather buy the eagle at this point. But I like maples when there's a bigger difference between there. So um, everybody, again, thank you so much for being here, and look forward to seeing you again soon. And thanks for jumping in the chat and making it a vibrant discussion out there. Stay safe. God bless, and we will see you very soon.